AAC can also look like just simple pictures. If I draw a yes and a no on a piece of paper, yes and no, there it is. And I point to yes and I point to no to answer questions, that is AAC. Using pictures of any kind are also considered AAC. Sign language is also considered AAC, which I also noted before. Baby sign, ASL works too, but generally I use baby sign because I am not kept up with ASL, and ASL is a complete language that has grammar and complexities that can get difficult, especially for children, and it is not something that I am trained in. But I do use baby sign, and a lot of the signs are very similar, if not the exact same signs as ASL. This is something that I use supportively with arguably all of my clients, no matter their age, unless they are way above that communication level. Some basic signs that I use that you can use at home to help your child communicate are more, all done, no, no, yes, yes. Some other ones is dad or mom. Somebody told me mom wears lipstick and dad wears a baseball cap. Grandma is 2 and grandpa is 2. Great grandparents is 3. If you want to keep going, you get the gist. A few others: milk, like you're milking an udder. Milk, drink, literally like you're drinking. Eat, eat. Some others that I use, let's think. Stop, stop. Go, go. Sometimes I will use one hand, go. It doesn't have to be 2. I'm just showing you more than once. Go. Up, literally pointing up, and down, pointing down. All of these are, as I said, not directly ASL, but they are baby sign that I use within my sessions to help support children's language. If you use baby sign or specifically ASL, it is not going to hinder your child's language. It will support it. And you can start doing this literally when they come out of the womb, just as if you were to talk, you're talking to your child while they're in the womb. They can't see your hands. You can sign to them, but they can't see it. But as soon as they leave, exposure to that language is perfect as soon as you can. It's not going to hinder them. Are they going to imitate your signs at a couple weeks old? Probably not. But they do start with some imitation skills, and that looks like them imitating your cooing. I don't know if you've ever watched a video of a child imitating, like mom or dad said, "I love you," and the baby, ah, like their cooing sounded similar to that intonation. Children can imitate at a very young age. Not all do, and it's not expected, but it's something to keep in mind. One last note about AAC that I really want you to know is that it's never too late and it's never too early to expose your child to an AAC device like the one that I have, or something entirely different. There's different levels to it. There's a lot of different ways to accommodate it to what your child needs. So if you are at all interested, or you think it would benefit your child, and arguably it would benefit most children at a young age, is that getting and talking to your SLP about it as soon as possible is really important, because sometimes, especially with insurance, it can take a while to receive and to get and to go through the whole program. But if you're interested, just a little note for you. On that note, let's get into the 5 tips that I have for you today, and we'll keep going. Okay, so I have 5 tips for you today. And some of these, I think actually all of them are on the parent handout that I give, because these are the biggest and, in my opinion, most important tips for parents in how to facilitate and support language in their child. Number 1 is modeling. Modeling. You model exactly what you want to hear from your child. I want you to be talking like your child throughout the day, but how you want them to talk. If they talk in baby talk, I don't want you to talk back, bah, 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 bah. I want you to respond like they're talking to you in words. And I want you to expose them to language as much as you can. There is research out there that supports that children who are exposed to more language and more talking around them at a young age do develop language a little bit not easier, but they do develop stronger language abilities, and they oftentimes develop a higher level vocabulary than other children who hear less words growing up. So this is why things like socioeconomic status can impact the way that a child develops and how their vocabulary develops, or how high of a level of a vocabulary they have. Because if all parents are working nonstop, then your child's automatically going to be exposed to most likely less words and hearing less language throughout their day. And that's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean that your child is doomed. You are here to learn. That in itself says a lot. But it is just some food for thought for you. Okay, so back to the scheduled programming. Modeling is so, so important. I need you to model things to say throughout the day. Anything that your child experiences, pretend that you are in their body and say what you wish that they would say. So if the ball goes down the hill and your child is still not saying words, you can say, go, go, ball. That's hugely important. Hugely important. If your child makes errors in their speech or language, they don't say their R's right, or they don't say their L's right, or they don't say the word all of the with the correct grammar, or they don't say two-word sentences and they only say one, you correct them by modeling what you want to see, not correcting exactly what they're saying. So you're not coming up to them and saying, no, 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 that's not right, do this, or try again, try again, try again. You're actually just modeling what you want to hear. Okay, so that brings me into number 2, which is do not correct them. I don't want you telling them, no, 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 try again, that wasn't correct, do this, do that. Don't respond well to that, specifically younger children. But even, would you like it if I came up to you, hey, no, no, that's not right, try it again, no, no, that's not right. It piss you off pretty quickly. It's gonna bother your kid too. We need you to stop doing that as soon as possible, please. And instead, I want you to respond with a model of what you wanted to hear. So if your child says, the dog goed, you instead would say, oh yeah, the dog went. He went outside. The dog goed outside. He went outside. You're right. He went. So I'm overemphasizing the went, and I'm not getting on them or telling them that they're wrong. I'm still keeping it positive. I even told him he was right, or she, or whatever, doesn't matter. You kind of get the gist. If your child is saying Willie, or they're saying W sounds for their R's, that's a common error that we see in articulation. Then instead of saying, no, no, try it again, no, that's not right, try it again, you can say it. You've said it before. You can do it. I don't care if your child said it before. If they're not doing it, they can't do it. If they're not doing it, they can't do it. And we have to figure out why, and why they're not at that level yet. And sometimes it's because they're emerging in that skill. They do not have it yet mastered. And that's okay. That's a part of the learning process. But your child is not behaviorally being stubborn in that they just don't want to talk, or they just would rather grunt, or they just would rather, it goes with food too. They're being picky. They don't want to eat anything. There is anything that is behavioral that you think may be behavioral regarding those two things is not. Your child has something is blocking them from being able to do the thing that you want them to do. And sometimes it can be medical. So it's not something to mess around with, and it's definitely not something to give them a lot of grief for, because you're only going to make it worse. They're only going to get more and more frustrated and more stubborn with you. Again, food for thought. Number 3, technically, but still technically, well, technically it's still number 2. I want you to slow your speech down. So many parents, and myself included, I'm not a parent, but so myself included, when I was learning, I talked way too fast. So fast. If you are talking to your child at the same rate of speech that I am talking to you right now, too fast. You need to slow it down. Your child needs to hear less language and quit and slower. I know that that is controversing what I said earlier, and that the more words they're exposed to, the better their language and vocabulary is. But when you want them to repeat you or imitate you, I don't want to hear you saying 8-word sentences. I want to hear you saying one word more than they can say. So if your child can say nothing, you should be saying one word to them. If your child can say 2 words, you should be saying 3-word phrases to them. Get the gist? If your child is autistic, or you have a feeling that they might be autistic, or they present with a lot of echolalia, which is imitation, essentially, imitating your words, or if they present with using scripts that are filled with a lot of intonation, blah, 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 and they do this often and they're repetitive, that was one that was not understandable in as far as words go, but there are a lot of like, oh no, she's falling, is one that one of my kids used to say all the time, and they use it in different settings and you're not sure what they're talking about, or they're repeating a movie quote oftentimes or a video quote. That is a sign of gestalt language processing, and this is something that we would target differently, because those children learn language in chunks and in phrases and would not necessarily adhere to this +1 word rule in the sense that I'm teaching it to you right now. If you want to know more about gestalt language processing, I will have a series either posted or coming soon, so make sure you go and check that out if you need more information there.